You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, the Disney.
Well, hello everyone and welcome in. Why? We have got a program tonight. I know you're going to like it. There's so many people right now coming out of the Watchtower. It's hemorrhaging big time, more than we've ever seen. This is historic moment, friends. We are watching a religion. I'm not going to call it a major religion, but we are watching a religion collapse right in front of our face. There's no questions about it. We're going to be talking about that tonight right here on our Six Screens Network, JW World News. My name is Rick Ferrin. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And friends, I'm not the only one. You know, people say, well, Rick, you know, that's kind of like you labeled it that. I didn't label it apostate capital of the world. It's that way factually. We have got a lot of apostates in the Boston area. And you say, well, why is that? Well, I'm going to tell you why it is. This area up here, for one thing, I'm going to tell you, it's mostly Catholic. If you ever visited Massachusetts, you'll see Catholic churches all over the place. And then there's not a lot of Protestant religions. Like down south, for example, there's Protestant churches on every corner. There's not a lot up here. It's not that religious up here in Massachusetts. So what you have here is you have a false religion, the Watchtower, as we know them as a cult. You know, they kind of thought they could get a foothold on some of the people here in New England, and they did. They were able to pull the wool over many Catholics' eyes. They left the Catholicism. They went into the Jehovah's Witness, but now many of them are waking up, and they've been doing that for the last 20, 30 years. So even circuit overseers will tell you, when I lived in Florida, for example, they said New England's a tough place to get people to stay in the truth, the so-called truth. But we are the apostate capital of the world. And I'll tell you what, well, I'm not going to go too deep into it. We'll discuss some of that, but we had a protest last Saturday. Did you see that? Let me just show you something while I'm on that subject right now. I'm going to show you something. And I'm not making this up. This is unbelievable. We didn't get a big turnout. We had 5 people come to the protest. We had one that was going to come, but there was a reason why they couldn't. They were afraid to be recognized by some relatives. But we had a really good time. This is an actual picture. I'm going to show you a picture. If you're watching the Six Screens tonight on YouTube or Facebook, this is a picture. Take a look at that. Is that pathetic? It's almost sad. I mean, we're looking at it in different ways. You could say, well, gee, I feel bad there's no seats, but I feel bad there's still people going there. Now, that is the Songus Center in Lowell, Massachusetts. That is the regional convention. They had a 2 weekends in a row. We were there last Saturday night, and that would have been July 20th. And just to give you an idea, we had such a good time. We sent 2 people in dressed up like Jehovah's Witnesses, and they had their cameras, their phones, and we sent them in with what we call hotspots. That would be, portable routers where they could transmit to us. We've tried it previously before, a couple of years ago. But the transmission would always go out because we lost internet connection. But we gave them a hotspot. That's a portable router. And they were able to get in there and send video back to us superbly. There's one of the pictures that was taken. But we had videos we played last Saturday and last Saturday night when they did our post-protest program. And so what you're looking at there, now we asked the young man that went in for us, part of the Six Screens protest team here. I asked him, did they announce how many people were in the convention? And he said, yes, Rick, they did. It was 2,000 something. He kind of forgot, but he thought 2,300, 2,200. He wasn't sure. But when you're looking at a stadium, and I would call it a stadium, it's bigger than a civic center. It's pretty big, and 6,500 people are available or are actually able to fit in there. But when you only have 2,300 people, friends, that's not good. That's not good at all when you think about it. So that was that. Look at the old word, the old saying: a picture speaks 1,000 words. Does that speak 1,000 words? Plus, I had people emailing me pictures from conventions all over America. In fact, even in the UK, I've had in this tank that it's tanking. I'll pull this out. So yeah, it's tanking the pictures I've been getting. But I'm just going to mention this. I mentioned it on Anne Marie's program a little while ago. I'm going to tell you something. I want you to think about this. How are the governing body, how are the Jehovah's Witnesses going to spin this? How do you spin empty seats like you just saw? How do you do that? Well, one way they're doing it, they're coming up with excuses. They have excuses for everything. And one way they're doing it is saying, oh, most of the people, in fact, I got information from a fella that went to the Independence, Missouri convention, and there were empty seats there too, a lot. And what he mentioned to me is on the way out, an elder said, isn't it a shame that a lot of the Jehovah's Witnesses didn't show up for the convention? And then he said, well, a good many of them are on Zoom. That is a crock of baloney. A good many of them are not on Zoom. They might appear to be that way. Maybe they turn the Zoom camera on and then go about their business. No, friends, that's an excuse. And then I heard an excuse last week. Friends, I'm going to tell you that this one takes the cake. They're going to make it. They make excuses up for everything. But this is the excuse of the year. The reason why there's so many empty seats, like you just saw, and the reason why Jehovah's Witnesses aren't there, well, it's a loving provision from Jehovah. Yes, Jehovah is showing kindness and love to us. He's giving us more room to be able to stretch out and enjoy the convention. Do you believe that? I mean, how could you possibly believe that? But the witnesses do. Isn't it sad? It is very sad. But you know what makes me sad? When I saw that picture, when I showed you that picture just a little bit ago, someone going, well, Rick, it's kind of sad. I went to conventions, I went to assemblies. You had to get there early. You had to put, your coat on the seat, your book bag, magazines, whatever, even though they didn't want you to do it. But if you wanted to get a seat, you had to do it. Well, friends, I used to do it. Everyone used to do it, right? I used to get up at 5. Look at when I went to conventions years ago up in Montreal, Veteran Stadium, New York, Pennsylvania. I went to Fenway Park. We had conventions all over the place. But when you stop and think about it, I used to have to get up. We had 5 children. 5 children with 5 kids. And, in order to get the family, so that would be 7 of us, my former wife, Inez, and I, plus the 5 kids, that's 7. So we'd have to get 7 seats. So what I used to do, I'd stay at the motel, and then I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and run down to the convention site. And, some of the attendants weren't too happy with me running in there. But I told them it's the only way I can get some seats. So I'd go in there and put my book bag, put a few books, a few magazines on the seats. And then I'd go back to the hotel room. If not, my whole family couldn't sit together. That is not the case. These conventions got so many seats, my goodness gracious, it's amazing. I've never seen anything like this. Maybe you guys haven't either. So what do you think the governing body's thinking? Well, they're propagandizing. They're giving all these crazy reasons. But I'll tell you what, if I was a governing body member right now, I would have my antenna up. This is a historic moment in the world of the Watchtower. They are hemorrhaging big time. And then how many PIMOs? Just stop and think about this for a second. How many PIMOs? What percentage of Jehovah's Witnesses would you say are PIMOs? That is people who are physically in, mentally out. It's an acronym. PIMO. Yeah, that's what it is. But that term, it's a good term. What's the percentage of PIMOs? Friends, I've been asking this question for 7, 8 years now. The term PIMO wasn't always around, but the word PIMO has gained a lot of traction. So I'm wondering, what do you think the percentage is of PIMOs? Now, you have to understand we have different generations. I don't know what generation you're in, but I'm a baby boomer. I'm 76 years old. Now, I'm thinking that many baby boomers, I'm thinking maybe they're going to stay in. Maybe they're going to go for the long haul. They've been in for so long, they're not going to give up. But there is some, I have to tell you, like Joe and Fran and myself, and there are some baby boomers that say that's it. Constance and Dick, for example, Anne Marie, you hear them here on the 6 screens. So there are many baby boomers that have said, that's it. We're not going to do it any longer. But I'm thinking, I'll give you my figure here in a second. But I did somewhat of a survey and doing this program for 20 years. I'm not a guru on this. I'm not an expert, but I would at least, from doing the program, friends, you gotta learn something. Geez, after 20 years, you gotta pick something up from the ex-witness world. How could you not? I mean, if you want a job for 20 years, you'd have to get pretty good at it, right? You might not be an expert, but geez, I don't care what you're doing. Whether you're picking up garbage, washing windows, or you're a surgeon. You after 20 years, you gotta be pretty good at what you're doing. So I'm gonna give a number. I'm gonna give a number that I think are PIMOs. Those that are physically in, those that are mentally out. Now, I'd like to get your thoughts on it as well. But I'm going to throw my figure out. Now, you don't have to agree with me. And friends, I can tell you this is not an all-out fact. This is I would call a guesstimate, but based on kind of a history of dealing with ex-Jehovah's Witnesses for 20 years. I'm believing right now, friends, there could be as many as 50%. I'm going to up it somewhat. Before I'd give it around 40. I'm going to up it. I'm going to go 50%. I believe of the people who are attending conventions, Jehovah's Witnesses that are going to Kingdom Halls out in service. I would say 50% are PIMOs. Now, some of them don't even know they're PIMOs. So some don't even know the acronym PIMO. But you know what it's like. They're just tired of it. They're so disappointed. They haven't had anything told to them that came to fruition. Everything was a lie. Everything was like, come on, hold on, hold on. They're getting tired of it. You can only hold on so long. So 50%, I'm going to go with half. Now, the Watchtower organization says there is close to 9 million Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm not totally sure I buy it, but let's just go with their figures for the sake of figuring this out. So suppose there's 9 million Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm telling you that 50% are PIMOs. They're just going to the meetings, going to the conventions, going out in service in a perfunctory, just going through the motions type way. They just don't want to be caught in a trap. And once you're caught in that trap, it could be ugly, right? Your friends, your relatives, no one's going to speak to you. So I'm going on the hook. I'm going out on the limb. 50% are PIMOs. You might disagree. Maybe you think there are more. But let me just talk to you about generations. The baby boomers, like I say, I think they're going to hang in there. They've been hanging in so long, they're not going to give up now. Then I'm thinking of the millennials. I'm thinking of the Gen Zers. They've had it. They're leaving in droves. I think most of the PIMOs, of course, would be the Gen Zers and the millennials. I know that for a fact. I mean, let's face it, especially the Gen Zers. Well, what's in this organization for a young person? Absolutely nothing. So I'm going to go on the record. I'm going to put it on the record here. I say 50% of the Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe this organization is the truth. Now, what would you do if you were a governing body member? How are you going to? Do they know this PIMOs? You better believe they do. And they know the acronym. They know there's people that don't want to be witnesses, but they're just going. Would you run a business like that? Seriously, with half of the people on the verge of leaving? Do you realize the vacuum? Do you realize the problems that could cause if all of them left at once? There'd be history. The Jehovah's Witness organization, as we know it, would be under. They would be deep under. So what do you think? Do you think 50%? Now, listen, I'm not going to debate you. If you think 30, that's good. What do you think? I want to hear from the audience. What do you think? What is the percentage of PIMOs in the Jehovah's Witness organization? That is people physically in, mentally out. What do you think? How many are in there? Who would like to speak up and take a shot at it? Who would like to take a shot at it? How many PIMOs do you think are in the Watchtower organization? I'm going to put the telephone number up here as well. If anyone wants to call in and give a thought, go ahead. You're on with us right now. Go ahead. What do you have to say? Hi, Dick.
My guess is 50%. I'm in the same camp as you. I think a lot of them are scratching their heads. I think the glue that holds a lot of them in is they're pretty much sure that it's not the truth, but they're going to hang in there just in case it is, and just in case I'm getting right around the corner. And if they denounce Jehovah's Witnesses, they're going to die at Armageddon. I think that's a large percentage of people. Then there are the ones that are in there that all the relatives are in, and there's a bond there because of blood and because of religion. And there's a lot of people that has to play the game because their employment is contingent upon them being a Jehovah's Witness. So I'm with you, Rick. I'd say 50% really don't believe it's the truth, and they don't take everything they hear from the platform or from the governing body as being the absolute truth directly from Jehovah God himself. And that, again, 50%, that's my guess. Thank you, Rick.
Well, very good, Dick. Thank you. I'm going to give you some guesses here from people in the YouTube chat. Monica says 80%. Let's go over here. JW Suicide says 40%. Our good friend Gilbert Gonzalez, he says 69%. So, I mean, Dick, so you're going to go with 50? Yeah, I'm going to go with 50. But look, nobody knows for sure. How can I sit here and tell you, oh, you got to believe me? Nobody knows. But what we look at, I've always said this here on the six screens. Friends, we have to be like the CIA. Yeah, we have to gather intelligence. Now, when we have a threat in the United States, the enemy isn't going to tell us everything. That would be stupid. So it's the same thing with the Watchtower. They're not telling us everything. So we have to kind of gather intelligence. So that's what the CIA does. So as apostates, as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we have to gather intelligence. And, these people making comments, Gilbert and Monica and some of the other people on here, when, they've gathered, we're gathering intelligence. And it's kind of hard to know what's going through the minds of some of our listeners. But, some of them might know a whole lot of relatives that have packed their bags. Now, I have relatives in the last few years that have packed their bags. I'm not going to mention who they are. I don't want to get in trouble. But I have relatives myself that have passed. That's it. They don't want to be a witness anymore. So, this type of information, So some of these people with high percentages, they probably know a lot of their friends and relatives that said, that's it. I don't want to be involved in this organization anymore. You're on 6 screens. You want to speak up? Do you have a thought on that? Well, what do you say? Dick said 50%. I said 50%. A number of people writing into YouTube has said 80%, 40%, 65%. So what do you guys think? You got any thoughts? I'll take a shot at it. In fact, I'm going to tell you what. I'm looking for a number here. If I hear this number, you get a free book. How's that? I'm looking for a number. And I'm thinking, when I said 50%, I'm thinking I was thinking of a certain number that I would like to hear, because it might even be that, but I don't want to go on the record to say it. Who would like to take a shot at it? You hit the number. If you come within 2 points close to the number, I'm going to give a free book. Going to give you a nice free book. I got some beautiful books here that have been given to me by a good friend, Nathan Natus. So go ahead, speak up. Give me a number. What number do you think I'm thinking of? Go ahead, Thomas Hodgins. You're on with us.
65%. That's my number.
What are you saying? 65%, Thomas?
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's not 65, but thank you, Thomas. In fact, I don't know if you got your books, but they're on the way. I sent some more books off to you. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, thanks. I got it yesterday, Rick. Got it 2 days. Thank you very
Well,
much.
good. I hope I sent a bunch of books out. Most of the people I hope got them. There's still some on the list. It takes time to do that, but we got them out. Thank you, Thomas. I'm glad you got them. Who'd like to take a shot?
Yeah.
Would you like a nice free book? I've got Millions Now Living Will Never Die. Look at this. These are beautiful publications. I got a book here. Look at this one here, Captives of a Concept. Let me take the notes off of here. Okay, this is Don Cameron. I'm trying to get him to come up to our convention. I hope that you can come. Captives of a Concept. I got some beautiful books. Go ahead, speak up. I'll give you a book. You see the telephone number on the YouTube screen. Just take a shot at it. What number? What do you think? How many PIMOs are there? What is the percentage of PIMOs? Go ahead, let's hear from you. If not, we're going to move on.
Can I speak up?
Sure you can.
Oh, okay. This is, I called in a couple weeks ago. I'm the one that had the ex-Jade Elder's wife, Jane Doe. I had that channel. I would guess, I don't know if you all remember when you went to the assemblies, how people did not sing very loud. They didn't sing, and I would sing really loud. And I thought, wow, they don't. It's like you can tell that their heart isn't in it, because they don't. They got kids that go to Bethel, and they put on a big show. That they're really into it. They will raise their hand at the Watchtower study, and during the meetings they'll raise their hands and answer and everything like that. And the pioneers always do. Young people do. They always get the kids to answer, etc. But, look around at the audience. They have a hard time getting people to raise their hands. Now, when I was new, a witness, I was so gung-ho, I would just tell everybody I knew. But it just, I would listen to the meetings, and I would ask different ones, like, oh, did you hear that? Wasn't that interesting? And never did they ever answer back. So I would sit there and doodle during the meetings. That's what I would do to pass the time. I put my face in. I sat there. I answered at the meetings. I love Jehovah more than anybody there. But I doodled, because it's like I hear the same thing over and over and over again. And and you ask somebody at the meeting, after the meeting, oh, wasn't that an interesting point? And they're just looking at you vague. They don't remember. They don't hear. They just sit there and take up space. And I would think something was really interesting. And it's like they just sit there. You swear to God that they were listening and that they're taking it in, but their mind is somewhere else. And I, right up until the bitter end, I believe that the Watchtower Society had God behind it. I really did. But I would sit there and I would doodle during the meetings because I was so bored. the meetings that on the Thursday night, the school and everything was, it was all I could do to keep my eyes open. It was just so boring. And I believe that most people just sit there, they go out in service, they sit there, because they're guilted into it. The kids are guilted into it. Everybody's guilted into it because they make you think that if you don't do it, you're going to die at Armageddon. And so you go, and it's not because their heart is in it. But like I said, right up until the bitter end, I believe that Jehovah was running the organization. I really do. Even though I was doodling and even though I was bored out of my skull at the meetings, I still believed that Jehovah's running the organization. And so, you can say how many people are physically in and mentally out. I would say almost all of them are mentally out.
Well,
they're physically in, but I would say almost all of them are actually mentally out. And how you can tell that is because of how do they sing? How do they answer at the meetings? Are they gung-ho? I mean, are they just, if you ask them a question after the meeting, do they pay attention? Are they paying attention? I think almost every single one of them are mentally out. That's my opinion. Almost all.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I would say 90%.
Well, you're getting the book. You're getting the book. Yeah, because I'm beginning. I feel now. You were a PIMO and didn't know it. See, that's the other thing.
Yes.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I was a PIMO and didn't know it. How many PIMOs out there that don't know it? So we have PIMOs coming forward and they're saying, and speaking up. But even when I was a witness, I was zoning out. I wasn't really taking this thing seriously. But, what do you really do? You kind of that's why this book right here, Captives of a Concept. That's all it is a concept. And, we were all captives of that. But, Sissy, you got a book on the way. You just give me your ad.
I already got that one. I'll tell you something. I love that book so much that I ended up ordering at least 5 or 6 of them. I had Bible studies that I brought into that religion. And when I woke up, I gave them each one. I gave them. That is one of the best books ever. But thank you. You can give it to somebody else. So I
want to give you.
I think I got 2 of them.
Well, I want to give you something because, seriously, I really do appreciate you calling in here. In fact, my wife, Susan, my beautiful wife, Susan, she says that's one of the books that got her out of the so-called truth. How about this one? How about, do you have Millions Now Living Will Never Die?
No, I don't.
I'm gonna send you that. This is a verbatim. This is a reproduction of that book. Millions Now Living Will Never Die. You go ahead and send me your address, jwworldnews@gmail.com. You're gonna get the book, sister. Really, because
thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. Well, you hit the nail on the nose. I'm thinking like you're thinking. I think most, if not all, of Jehovah's Witnesses are mentally out. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes. Well, there you go. That's what I'm thinking. I said 50. But deep down inside, I have to agree with that woman that just came on. I got to think in terms of what she was thinking. Now, she said all, but 90%, I'll go with the 90. But, I guess there are PIMOs and there are PIMOs. There's many. Did you really pay attention? There's one convention. In fact, I went to 2 conventions once, 2 regional conventions, and it was back in 1998, but don't hold me on it. But they were talking about the chieftains and how the elders were going to be chieftains and how they were going to rule in the new system and how they were going to be over everyone and lead everyone and direct everyone. And I just wasn't, I couldn't make sense out of that talk that I heard at the convention. So that was up in Portland, Maine. So then I said, then they had the same convention again a couple of weeks later down here in Massachusetts. So I said, I'm going to go again. I wasn't really I didn't really love going to Jehovah's Witness conventions, but I wanted to hear that talk over again. And I still couldn't figure it out. And, they don't even talk about that anymore. They change things all the time. But, most witnesses, even when I remember, I have relatives. I have a bunch of relatives that are Jehovah's Witnesses. And so many times they'd invite me over their house and would have dinner together. And, I'd bring up the Daniel book, or I'd bring up something in the Proclaimers book. They didn't want to talk about it. I remember even going to a wedding. And, they gave, like, how you go to a wedding and they give you seats to sit with someone you don't even know. They give, that's where you're going to sit. So I sat at a table with a bunch of people I didn't even know. It was a wedding. And, I started bringing up, some of the biblical stuff, some of the books, because I, one time was a little bit into it and I brought it up. They didn't want to talk about it. So they were like PIMOs and didn't know it. So I like that idea. Well, can someone come up with an acronym, PIMOs, and don't know it? If someone can come up with a good acronym, PIMO, and don't know it, I'll be glad to give you a book. I really, really will. So if you can come up with an acronym, a PIMO and don't know it, maybe that's a new acronym that we can use here on JW World News. Because I think it's the case. I think it's the case. Is there anyone out there that felt the same way that this sister felt? Did you go to the meetings and really, take everything to heart? Did you really discuss how wonderful the convention was, or the meeting was, on the way home with your husband and kids? Did you really think that this is something that would be meat in due season? What do you think? I mean, I'd love to hear from you. Did you when you were Jehovah's Witness, did you take this all to heart? And I'm on that same subject here tonight because we're talking about the percentage of PIMOs in the organization. Did you take this all to heart? I really didn't. Yeah, go ahead. You're with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rick.
Yeah.
This is Apostle Dude.
Apostle Dude. Good to hear from you, Apostle Dude. What do you say?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I think there is some individuality that every take, and I'm going to speak up because maybe there's somebody out there that can relate to me. So I wasn't raised in the religion. I did come in before the 75 fiasco. For different personal reasons, I just kind of bumped through the whole crisis that was going on because I had enough of my own personal problems trying to adjust to the difficulties a religion presents to live in. But just to run through to when about 8 years ago, I woke up. Up until then, I mean, when I woke up, I could look back and go, oh no, now I understand what that coolness was. The people I would come up and speak zealously to, because I was all in. I was all in because out of survival through all the trauma that I came in the religion carrying and dealing with, I set up massive cognitive dissonance. And I would hear strange things. A typical example, is even if it seems from a human standpoint illogical, you must obey. Now, that's a triggering thing to hear, but you kind of go, well, I can understand. Like one sister who was married to an apostate, I told her, and I'm still believing, and I said, well, the religion is all or nothing, and it is. That's part of the game. So until you break through, and if I were to talk to somebody today, the 90% number, it's like they're crashing on cognitive dissonance. I mean, all this stuff they're doing now is like just breathtaking, shocking changes that, like, how could we live by all these things that we are going to be disfellowship for, and then now it's all okay, So, I mean, like, for example, they changed the teaching from it was in every book. It was the typical and anti-typical. And then they threw it all out, which took Freddie Franz off the map. I mean, he did everything. All the stuff he wrote was all that crap. So I think there's about 10 years ago, speaking for myself, I was all in until, and it was traumatic. I saw all these big things now, about 10 major things, including the biggest one of all, which is the CSA. And when you see that they're covering that up, and there is a massive scandal, and it's only bigger now than it was then you just can't hold out. I mean, it is traumatic, but you gotta face the facts. So once you get out, you can see it all. You can look back and you can see PIMOs all over the place that you wondered about, because there's that cool response that and there you go with what Dick Borgie was saying about 10 minutes ago. They stay in for these different reasons, they may not even face it, but there was all kinds of spooky things they said along the way. But when I was in, I just rationalized it. I streamed it right into some explanation. I'll give you another example. When I learned about cults, you could see the similarities. I always saw them all through the years. I said, wow, that's how we do things. So what did I tell myself? I said, well, what's going on here is the devil is creating a bunch of cults to make the real truth look bad. And Jesus is guiding his people with a strong hand, and all these intolerant rules and principles are just part of the game. So just to speak to anybody that went through it like me, but I couldn't be more out now, because it's not like me. I just, when I came in, I was a Catholic, or I had a Catholic background, and they told me all that stuff about the Catholic Church, and it was true. There was all kinds of questionable and serious problems in the Catholic Church. Okay, fine. Would these people actually point the finger at Catholics and not be as righteous as they claim to be? Well, guess what? You find out. And as soon as you can, find out. If anybody's out there listening, just look hard. Look hard. You've got to face it. There is no safety in that organization. Thanks for giving me the time there, Rick.
Well, Apostle Dude, always good to hear from Apostle Dude. Good comments. Don't you be a stranger. You come back and see us again, okay?
You bet.
All right, good. So, anyways, how were you when you were one of Jehovah's Witnesses? Did you really listen to all the meetings? Were you really, what you'd say, as a good, loyal witness, or were you just going through it in a perfunctory fashion, just going through the motions?
Hey, Rick?
Yes, go ahead. You're on with a 615. I believe that's Eric, yep.
Yeah, hey, Rick. I was going to say, my brother's almost like, he's too young to be the OG PIMO, but he got, how many people get baptized being a PIMO? You already don't believe in it, and you get baptized anyway, just to make your family happy and just go through the motions. He successfully has faded and is a PIMO and is completely awake to the organization. I pioneered in the beginning, and then I hated pioneering, and I hated pioneer school. It was awful. And I couldn't wait till it was over. There was an elder and a sister asked, what did you like best about pioneer school? I didn't say anything, and the elder goes, the concluding prayer. After that, I didn't take the so-called truth seriously anymore. And it was just basically go through the motions, keep awake during the meetings as best you can, and do a little service to keep everybody happy. One thing that Desiree and I are really happy about is that we never really donated much money or of our time. I donated a good amount of time to the RBC at some point because another brother asked me to, but other than that, we didn't give them too much, and we're grateful for that. It's boring as heck. Who can do it? My grandmother, she used to take notes. She was so super peamy. I don't know how you can take it that seriously, but thanks, Rick.
Well, you're very welcome, Eric. Always good to hear from Eric. Thank you very much, Eric. You're a good man. Don't you ever change. We love you, Eric. Thank you. And let Desiree, we're thinking of her too, okay? All right. So let's go to 602. You're on with us, 602. What do you have to say?
Hey, Rick, I need to publicly confess my sins because as a Jehovah's Witness, I read Venice Finished, The Mystery of God, Babylon the Great, the red books, The 1,000-Year Reign, Yellow Book, and boy, am I embarrassed. So, this is my confession. And one thing, too, I would actually pay attention. And there was a convention like in the late, somewhere in the 2000s. But anyways, Watchtower in the district convention was saying that like right now we have 200 plus countries in the world. In the new system, you know, we would have 144,000 like counties, you know, countries. So the earth would be divided into like 144,000 jurisdictions, and each would have a name of like Rutherford, Nor. They would have the name of, but they weren't that specific as saying Rutherfordville or Norville. But they said that all of the land would have the names of the 144,000. So it's like looking at a map. So I told my brother Jesse this, and he says, "You're crazy." They didn't say that because no one's paying attention. That's the whole point. What you're saying, only nerds like me were paying attention. So my brother, about a month later, is having lunch with a bunch of elders in his city in Yuma, and he calls me up. He goes, "Oh my God, Gilbert!" He goes, "I was just having lunch with another nerd elder, and he confirmed what you had told me like about a month ago." That in the new system, you know, that was one of the Watchtower's crazy teachings in the convention, that we would have, like Arizona has Maricopa County, Yuma County, it would be changed to Norville, to Rutherfordville, you know, Franceville. So the point I'm trying to make is there was a man that everybody knows. His name was George Harrison. He was from the Beatles, and he sang a song called Handle with Care. And he says, sent to meetings, hypnotized, overexposed, commercialized. And George Harrison, we know from the Beatles, you know, he got into the Hindu religion and everything. He was, you know, experimenting with everything. But he talks about that he went, people are going to meetings, any kind of meetings, Watchtower meetings, Amway meetings. Everywhere you go, you see how the Jehovah's Witnesses, you see it, they're hypnotized. Like you just knew that it was Tuesday and you just like started getting ready. You were in a hypnotic state. You got in your car and you had to get to the Kingdom Hall by 7:30. And it's not until you leave. And when I stepped down from being an elder, when I stepped down, for the first time I was actually listening. And honest to God, you can ask my brother Jesse, I had like Tourette type syndromes. Or when we start twitching, I would be twitching and people would be looking at me all funny. And it's because I was listening to what people were saying from the platform. And you know, but when I was an elder, I was so busy running the Theocratic Ministry School, you know, conducting Watchtower magazines. I was so busy and everything, but I really never got a chance to listen, you know, intently. And so if all of these ex-Jehovah's Witnesses were to go to a convention today, if you were forced to sit through a meeting, you would start twitching too. You know, it's like a bad negative energy. It's like being bombarded with microwaves. You feel something's wrong and you start to twitch. And that's how, you know, but the Jehovah's Witnesses don't twitch because they're in a hypnotized state. Does that make any sense?
Hey, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't know how many people have come on this program the last 20 years that they try to describe the state that Jehovah's Witnesses are in. Some say like a zombie, some say hypnotized, some say like a schizophrenic state. I'll go with hypnotized. I'll go with whatever you're saying, Gilbert. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but George Harrison sang that in the Traveling Wilburys. He goes, been to meetings, hypnotized. He went through the same thing too. George Harrison, the Beatle. Yeah. This is common everywhere. And it's not until you get older in life that you realize that, you know, why did I go to these meetings? Why did I, like you were talking, you know, you have a wife and kids. Why did you go to the meetings on Thursday? Because you were in a hypnotic state. You just knew that it was Thursday and you had to go. It was like you were hypnotized.
Yeah, I noticed when you posted up there on YouTube, you posted your percentage. What did you say? 65%? Just to.
Well, I was in the chat section joking because we were Jehovah's Witnesses. I said 69.
Say,
because you know how dirty they are. They're a dirty religion. Australian Royal Commission. They're perverts.
Well, they are perverts. Well, you're a hot duck. You're a hot duck, Gilbert. Now you get your program coming up tonight. Why don't you just give a little preview? I mean, let's give you a little plug. You know, tell us about.
No, I'm just gonna. I sent you the picture, maybe a good thumbnail. The Jehovah's Witness governing body is derelict of duty. If you decide, Jesus was very clear. If you were given responsibility, you were going to be held up to you were going to be judged according to how you did. So whether you are a dog catcher or president of the United States, whatever job you take, you're going to be held to account. And the Jehovah's Witness governing body thinks that they could be religious leaders and not be derelict of duty and be held to account. And Jesse and I are just going to go to town on them today, that they have a lot to answer for. And I hate to say, I don't want to say this, but Jesus says, pray for your enemies, because the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, they're humans, and we know Jesus says, pray for the enemies, the battles with Satan. But these people have taken on the responsibility of being religious leaders, and they're derelict of their duty, and God have mercy on their souls if they do not repent.
Well, amen to that, buddy. Thank you, Gilbert. Always good to hear from Gilbert Gonzalez. We'll see you tonight in just about 2 hours from now. Thank you. All right, that's Gilbert Gonzalez and Jesse. They come on tonight, A Tale of Two Witnesses. That's their program right here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. All right, we're going to move on. Unless someone has another thought, we're going to move on to, I'm thinking, friends, Ramapo. Do you think about Ramapo? Well, let me just fill you in. Ramapo, that is a town in New York. It's adjacent to Warwick. It's right next door. And they're building a giant movie studio. Now, you've heard us talk about it. You guys know it. I know sometimes I'm preaching to the choir, but maybe some don't know about Ramapo. But that Ramapo studio, I've been doing some estimating here. That Ramapo studio, friends, is double the size of Warner Brothers Studios in Hollywood, California. Double the size of Warner Brothers. What are they actually planning? I'm not getting this. Ramapo is their new studio, and they're saying it should be finished sometime between 2026 and 2028. What about Armageddon? Isn't that going to really put kind of a halt to the work? But evidently not. They say it's going to be built 2026, 2028 in there somewhere. Now it's being built. Now just listen to the stats on this. That Ramapo studio is being built on 242 tax-free acres of land. And if you look up Warner Brothers Studio in California, they're on 110 acres. So we have the Watchtower organization putting forth a studio built on 242 acres. And in California, the Warner Brothers Studio is only on 110 acres. So you tell me, it's like double the size. This is absolutely nuts. What is going on? Now, you think about Warner Brothers. They made some really big movies. Maybe some of you guys out there have watched some of the movies. Aquaman, multiple Batman movies. They were very popular, right? Twister, that movie Twister, that's a relatively new one. That's made by Warner Brothers. Jurassic Park. Have you seen Jurassic Park? How about some of the Interstellar, Star Trek, The Next Generation, The Goonies, Spider-Man? So now we have the Watchtower. The Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses. They're building a studio twice the size of Warner Brothers with some Academy Award-winning movies. What are they planning? How much space do they need to produce their blockbuster shows? I'm not sure whether they're going to be blockbuster or not. But what I am sure of, it seems like there's a temporary halt on Ramapo. We're not hearing much about it. I'm just thinking out loud. It's just a fundraiser. This is what cults do. This is what scam artists do. They tell you that they got this big project that they're going to come forward with, but yet at the same time, they get you money and, they don't do a thing with it. They've been asking people to donate to the project, help us with our Ramapo studios. But friends, this is just absolutely nuts. This is absolute. Do they need a studio? the size of Warner Brothers. I even talked about the Disney studios. I believe that it's not even as big as Disney. And all the movies that they produce at Disney, what is the Watchtower thinking here? Well, what type of movies are they going to produce? I mean, they produced that Jesus movie, but who hasn't? I mean, that doesn't even come close to the Passion of the Christ, right? But yet they think they're in the movie business, and they think this is their next venue. This is their next frontier to recruit people into the cult. I really don't think that Ramapo studio will ever be built. I don't. I think basically it's just a way to raise money. Help us with the studio, the sign. Yeah, Susan.
I was thinking, Christian or religious themed movies are not usually big money makers. If that's what they're trying to do, you have to really want to make them out of the goodness of your heart, which the Watchtower doesn't have a heart. So I can't figure out why would they make a studio where they're going to make a bunch of movies that aren't money makers. I mean, I don't see the point for them if they're money oriented, which they are. So what kind of movies would they have to make in order to justify a Warner Brothers size studio?
Huh. Well, what they're doing, Susan, is, I mean, I've been studying this and overlooking, and in fact, looking at it, I should say, not overlooking it, but I've been looking at this now for the last 6-7 years, from its very inception. And this is a huge project. Now, numbers have been floating around. Don't take it to the bank and cash it, as I say, but I've heard figures of 250 million to 500 million. Friends, 500 million, that's $500 million. That's $500 million. So this is a huge project. And actually, it's bigger than, like I say, many studios that you see in Hollywood. So what is their objective? The only thing I did, I went back and I looked into Scientology. And Scientology tried to do a similar thing. They were going to build this huge studio, but it kind of flopped and it really cost them a lot of money. I think that I'm just my own feelings. I'm not sure. Don't say that Rick Farron said this, but I'm thinking this is nothing more than a way for the Jehovah's Witnesses to dig into their pockets. Oh, we need this. This will be so wonderful. And, they're really appealing to many young witnesses, come and be a movie star. Come and be a movie star at Ramapo. So this is it's a win-win for them. They're making money and they're really exciting people as a young Jehovah's Witness, who wouldn't want to be a Watchtower movie star? I mean, come on. We probably all would have been when we were younger, but those days have passed right now, but they find ways to manipulate. They find ways to con people. That's exactly what these guys are, is a scam artist. And I think it's all a scam. I think it's just a way to get the Watchtower to get more money. What do you have to say, Dick Borgie? I want to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. We all know what a scam the Watchtower is and how they've been doing it. We've also known that they've hired pedophiles, and many governing body members are known to be pedophiles. It is my guess with Ramapo is that they're going to get all the money they can from the Watchtower rights, every cent that they can possibly get. And then they're going to sell it to an organization that does porn. It sounds really, really crazy. I know that must be crazy to some people, but I'm thinking it's really true. Do you realize that more people watch porn than all the major sports combined? Doesn't even come close. It is major in the United States and it's major throughout the world. Porn is very, very real. It's certainly hidden, but it's real. And it wouldn't surprise me a bit, after they get all the money from the witnesses they possibly can, that they sell it off to some organization and it'll be the number one producer of pornography in the world. That is my take on it. Thank you, Rick.
Well, that's a good take, Dick. I wouldn't I wouldn't discount that take at all. Uh, these guys are great at conning people. These guys are great at getting people to give them money for whatever reason. People do it, and they claim they have 9 million people, so everyone gives them a few bucks, and that coffer adds up pretty doggone quick. Well, thank you, Dick. Always appreciate you calling in. Thank you very much. All right. I have to tell you that, boy, there's a lot of things that are going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower this week. And what's really good, what's really of major interest is there's so many countries right now that are coming down on the Jehovah's Witnesses. And like I say, we've been doing the program here for many years. And 20 years ago, there were no countries at all. There were no countries at all that wanted to speak out against the witnesses. They were just kind of, well, that's a religion. Let them go. Let them be. But what I'm finding here is now we have a whole lot of countries that are starting to expose the Jehovah's Witnesses for who they are. And boy, there's so many of them. I mean, I'm thinking of Norway. I'm thinking of Sweden. I'm thinking of Belgium. I'm thinking of Japan. I'm thinking of the Netherlands. I'm thinking of the Soviet, well, not the Soviet Union, but it'll be Russia. I'm thinking of the United Kingdom. I'm thinking of Canada. I'm thinking of so many countries that are coming down against the Watchtower. And this hasn't always been the case. Us apostates, so to speak, us that have left the Watchtower, we were a lone wolf out there. We didn't have many allies. We didn't have many people that wanted to really help us. But now we have countries coming down on the Watchtower. Now, the latest one, you guys know it. It's the biggest elephant in the room. It's New Zealand. Thank you, New Zealand. Now, before we go to New Zealand, Mark, did you want to say something? Mark Taft from Mark. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick. Hey, how you doing, Rick?
Good.
How are you this fine evening?
Good. Yes.
Good to hear. Always good to hear you. Yes, Rick. Well, your show's actually very good tonight. And yes, the Watchtower Society and the Jehovah's Witnesses are very big on money. Yes, they are. Real big on money. And especially when they're making billions of dollars, it's downright, very, it makes me very angry. But yeah, they are big time money people and money grabbers. That's what they've always been, no doubt about it. It's a real sad situation. But I just want to share with you, Rick, that right now my she's getting much older. She's done her will. She's made out her will, and what I'm really angry about, really, really angry about that. A lot more of her money that she has written in her will is going to the Watchtower Society, that she's giving specifically and directly to them to support them and make them richer and wealthy, and the governing body, especially the governing body too, very rich and wealthy. And I'm just so very angry about the whole damn thing, because that's not fair. She said she'll give me something and my brother something, but it's all, a lot more goes to the Watchtower Society. And I'd say that's very, very wrong. But unfortunately, Watchtower's poisoned her mind very severely, and so that's what she's going to do, is make them nice, rich, and wealthy, and the governing body more richer than ever. So, I wish there was something I could do about it, Rick, but I guess at this point there isn't, unless I can get lucky and get an attorney to help me fight that, which I just might do. I'm going to give it a shot in the future, but we'll see. Well, I guess the bottom is we'll have to see what happens, right?
So basically what you're saying, she wants to leave her money to the Watchtower?
A lot, yes. Quite a lot of it, yes. Yes. She told me specifically just the other day, almost a week ago, she told me that's what she's going to do. And I said, no, that's not fair. Come on, the deal was you're going to, turn it over to both me and my brother and maybe some of the other relatives, and that should be the deal. She said, well, yeah, it is, but we're giving only just a very small percentage, just a very, very, very small percentage. But a lot of her money is going right to the Watchtower. It's going straight to them, is what she said. And I said that I did not agree with that. and that's very wrong, and I'm very angry about it. And that's not the way to go. That's not the way to do it. That's so very wrong. And I told Spencer, you should not do that. She said, I can do any old thing I choose to do. I'll do it my way. It's my will, and I can do what I want. It's my choice. Now, I had to respect that, but I still feel that in the end, I'm going to try and get an attorney and fight that, because making the Watchtower, rich and wealthy, and especially the stupid governing body, is a major, as we know, a major mistake. Does that make sense to you?
Well, it makes a lot of sense. In fact, it's one of the stories I was going to talk about here tonight. So I might as well just jump on that story right now. And it has to do with a lot of the baby boomers. Now, your mother would be a baby boomer. It has to do with a lot of the baby boomers are leaving their property to the Watchtower. They just feel it's they're feeling that, this is something that I've worked all my life for. I love the Watchtower. I'm loyal to it, been loyal for many years. And then now they're wanting to leave their property as they're getting ready to die. I hate to say that, but as they check out. But that's not fair to you, Mark. You're her son.
No, it's not.
You're her son. Right. And that gets me so aggravated when I hear stuff like this. I hear so many stories coming in here to the 6 screens that, people, older witnesses are leaving their property to the Watchtower and disregarding their family members. Now, that's not fair, Mark. I agree with you.
No, it's not. I mean, like she told me, she said more of it's going to the Watchtower Society than is going to both me and my brother. And that's very, very wrong. I'm just downright pissed off about it, because, me and my brother should be getting a lot more. I mean, how dare you? She's going to, take more than half her money and give it to the Watchtower Society and to support them, and just make the governing body nice and rich and wealthy so they can keep living high on the hog? What a bunch of bullshit that is. I mean, I'm sorry, Rick, but that is just bullshit. And I have every right to be very, very furious about it. I mean, I hope you understand.
I do understand. In fact, that's basically what I was going to speak about here tonight. We'll jump onto that story right now. There's so many people right now. There's a lot of people right now that are really ticked off like you are, Mark. I had one woman I talked to not too long ago, and her whole family, her family had the land that the Watchtower Farms is on, and the family gave the Watchtower all of that land. And this poor ex-Jehovah's Witness, she's poor. She's poor. And the family gave all the land to the Watchtower, 100 acres plus, to build Watchtower Farms. And the poor girl is saying, my family gave it all up. She could have been living very, very good today. But look what the Watchtower is doing to people. Mark, it's not right.
Yeah. No, it's very, very wrong. The problem is, Rick, when the time is right, I'm going to get an attorney and try to fight this really, really hard. Whether I win or lose, who knows? But I'm going to fight real hard either way, whether I win or lose on this whole thing. And I may have to battle out with my brother. Most likely I'll have to battle with my brother, too, because he's also a Jehovah's Witness. So it's going to be a major, major battle. It's going to be, chaos. It's going to be chaos, anarchy. It could be my worst nightmare. Who knows? But I'm just telling you, I'm getting an attorney to fight this really, really hard when the time is right. It's not fair, and there's no way that I dare want that governing body getting more and more rich and wealthy like they have been all these decades. I mean, those guys are living high in the hog, for the last 100 years or whatever. I mean, come on. They don't need any more money. They don't need any money at all. I mean, no way. I don't want them getting my mother's money. Absolutely not. I hate the governing body because they are evil. Okay, and this is it, Rick. And I'm sorry. I feel I have every right to be, very angry about this. I hope you understand, and I hope you are on my side.
Well, Mark, we got people writing into you. If you're looking on the screen right now, that's our next story coming up right on Facebook with New Zealand. But I'm going to stay on this story right now. We have people writing in. Mark, let the lawyers know that perhaps your mother is incompetent. Let them know that she's making decisions here that are not sensible. So I can understand. Right. I can understand your frustration. Right. I really, really can, Mark. That's right. Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible, Rick. But there's not much I can do about it right now because she has that legal right to do that right now because it's her will. But when she unfortunately, passes, I mean, I'm going to have to take the right action and see what a lawyer can do to let her know that she's incompetent. She didn't know what she was doing. She's not, I'll just tell her. I'll tell them the whole story, and I'll sit for 6 hours, 8 hours. What I got to do in their office to tell them, what they specifically need to know and what they can do and what loopholes they can find to take legal action to prevent this from happening. Because there is no, I mean, what the hell? Yeah, I don't want state organization getting richer thanks to her.
Well, I agree with you, Mark. Now, the thing is, I know your brother is one of Jehovah's Witnesses, so you'll have to kind of confide with him a little bit. I mean, I don't know how he feels about it, but, your mother really, that's your mother. And even though you're not one of, it's listen, I've been doing this program for 20 years. I've heard this before, Mark. Fight it. Make sure you do go to an attorney and say, look at this religion's trying to coerce my mother out of money. Let them know that,
Yeah, I'm going to tell them the whole story, the whole full package, whole 10 yards. I will, if they want to contact you and talk to you, I'd be glad to have them do so as long as you're willing to talk to them and tell them the truth.
I would love to talk to them. I would love to talk to them. I can share so much with them. If you want to give them my my number and everything, by all means do that, okay?
I sure will, Rick. I'll do that, and I'll give you the number, and I'll get any other XJWs that want to get involved and talk to them as well, and give them the real story, the real truth. I'll show them, the website, on Jehovah's Witnesses. I'll show them, the YouTube videos. I'll show them any proof, anything and everything that I can give him proof to let them know this is a very dangerous cult. It's a state organization. My mother was, she was brainwashed. Her mind was poisoned. Her mind was polluted. She was very, incompetent, and about all of this, and since her mind was so damn poisoned, she's making this mistake. We got to prevent it, because making that governing body rich would be a major, major mistake by anyone. Well, what the hell? The governing body doesn't care about anyone. They could care less about anybody. Zero. They're all about themselves. They're very selfish people. They're living high in the hog. Come on, Rick. We know how the governing body works, and they don't give a good 2 cents or a rat's ass about anyone. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, Mark. So listen, you stay in touch with me now. You make sure you let me know this, but I'd say start fighting this right away, because they're doing this. They're going. In fact, I bet you well, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that they coerced your mother. Somehow the elders came. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what happened. They coerced her and said, we want you to, give you money. I know your mother done well. I mean, I know your mother was in real estate and she did pretty good. She's not, a multi-millionaire or anything, but she's done pretty good. And to leave all that money to the Watchtower, my God,
No way. I mean, what are we talking? Like over like $100 grand, $200 grand? She's going to give those jerks? No, absolutely not. No way, man. You don't give those guys $1.
No, you help your children. You help your children. You're a child of hers. You're a child. Her and the brother too. Your brother too. Even though he is a Jehovah's Witness, he might not agree with it all. But I mean, maybe he says, "Well, that's good. Your mom wants to do that." But you step in there and say, "Look, this is going to affect the rest of your life. This is going to affect the rest of your life." Mark, that would do wonders for you, wouldn't it? I mean, you don't want your mother to die, but it's going to make you doubly sick when you hear she leaves it all to the Watchtower. Jeez.
That's right, because I'm, I get a small percentage. My brother gets a small percentage.
We have someone wants to give you a suggestion here. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay, now listen, you go and see if you can get a power of attorney over her checking account, her house, and see if you can get your name on the deed of that house, and you make sure that you can get the deed to the property and get it switched over in your name.
Okay.
Because she is not thinking properly.
No, not at all.
And if you can get custody of the house and her medical stuff, you can make decisions for her. The same thing that I do for my son. I have total custody of him, and all the medical decisions, all the money decisions I make for him.
Right.
And go to your local town hall and get the deed, get the plat, get everything that you need, and then see if you can get it signed over in your name.
Well, hold on, David.
as
No,
a
hold on,
beneficiary.
David, hold on. Do you think? I mean, now listen, David. I understand the situation you're in, and you're a good man, David, and you're helping your son. But now we have a woman that is a loyal Jehovah's Witness, and she's not going to turn the deed over to Mark. I mean, she's not. She's not going to do that. I mean, he can fight for it all he wants. It's not going to happen. It's. I mean, for you it was different. Like your son, he's got some issues. He's not. He's a challenged person. And and I want to commend you right here on the Six Queens tonight, David. I commend you for taking good care of your son. You are an amazing person to do that, David. You got our kudos here. But it's a different situation with the mother here. She's not going to sign that house over to him. There's no way that's going to happen. You know?
No, but he can go and get the paperwork so the Watchtower cannot take it away from her. Go look at your county courthouse and go and look and see what you can do. And see if you can go to the district attorney's office and see if they can help you out yourself.
I sure will. Sounds like an excellent
Because
plan.
mental illness runs in the Jehovah's Witnesses all through the women.
Yes, it
Because
does.
it's just a fact. That's why they take SAMs. That's why they take other depressants.
Right.
And it's a true fact, because I went into a Kingdom Hall 7 or 8 months ago to pick up my wife, and I was looking around, and I seen a lot of women having these SAMI pills in their pocketbook.
Yep.
And they were for antidepressants, but they were natural stuff. And I've seen 3 or 4 women have these in their pocketbook because they leave your bags open in some of the Kingdom Hall.
Well, David, what does that have to do with, this woman leaving her money to the Watchtower? I mean, I'm not following this.
She can't. If the kids are a beneficiary to anything of that home, he has to go and look it up in his district or wherever he's living at. Yes, he can stop the Watchtower from doing this with a little bit of money. I'm saying $400 or $500.
All right. Well, let's see if that can happen. Okay. Well, thank you, David. And we're going to try to get.
I did it for another lady in Stafford, Virginia. Okay.
Well, thank you, David.
And I got the kids to take over the house because she could not take care of the house. Go and take some pictures of the house and everything, so you can say that this house is not being taken care of, and she's not being able to take care of the property in the house.
Well, she is able to take care of it. That's the problem, David. You're missing a point here. She's a Jehovah's Witness. She takes good care of her property. What she wants to do is leave her property to the Watchtower. But, I'm sure that Mark will pursue the necessary routes he has to get this thing settled. So thank you.
Go and talk to Mike and Tim and ask them what they have seen and heard.
All right.
And I know there's 1,000 Kingdom Halls.
All right, let's stop there. What we're doing here, David? We're muddying the water. We're going to stay on the subject. Thank you, David, for calling in. Thank you, David, for being with us. Yeah, go. Go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you, David. Okay.
I always Hello, I think I'm speaking. I don't know. Am I
Yeah,
speaking to
yeah,
Rick
yeah, yeah.
Barron?
Yes, you are. You're speaking to Rick.
The
Yep.
great Rick Barron.
Oh, yes,
Rick.
you are speaking to him. Yes.
I want to relate a very good experience. Okay, I went to a family reunion last Sunday. It was supposed to be my Aunt Vi's 100th birthday. The first person on both sides of the family to ever reach it to the centennial mark. And what's happy about it is that on April the 13th, the family calls that she's been put in hospice. The doctor says she has 3 days to live. So I prayed for her to make it to 100 years. Her husband was on Utah Beach on D-Day and survived, okay? This is a great woman, and she lived. She's still living. We're almost into August. I mean, I really prayed for her. No one else prayed with me. This stuff about 2 or 3 people praying together, and it's an answer to a prayer, because I love this woman. So welcoming. They tried to recruit me into the military, but I never did go, you know. It was Vietnam. Why am I going to go in the military during Vietnam? But at the same time, they love me all the same. But see, here's the problem. We've got a united family, 2 sides. My mom was married to my dad's, my mom's brother was married to my dad's older sister. So we had 2 families that didn't get together. And when I came out of the witnesses, I told my mom, we need to meet together for a family get-together. And she refused, because she's dead now, died in December. But we started hosting a family get-togethers and reunited the 2 families together. So because I stopped going to the witnesses, I've had the opportunity to unite the 2 families and to have my Aunt Georgia, my Aunt Vine. I have so many aunts. It's Catholic stuff, you know? So I just want to tell people I had an actual prayer answer. Because when I tell people this on the internet, they scoff at me. They put me down. It's a constant thing. They do not believe prayers get answered. I can swear on the Bible itself that prayer was answered. My Aunt Vi made it to 100 years old. And I want to say one more thing. Unlike witnesses, the Catholics, sure, they have problems, but they don't try to destroy your damn family. The witnesses, they try to disrupt your family, so you have no choice but to go back to them. The Catholic Church does not do that. I'm not recommending the Catholic Church, but I'm just showing it's a very evil cult. You don't have to destroy families. It's not in Christ's mission to do that. Even though he said you would be divided people in your house with this stuff, but they take it a little too far. You know what I mean? Okay,
Yes, they do.
If for anybody out there who doesn't think prayers get answered, start praying, for God's sake, because you're going to need it in the future here. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, there you go, Mark. Well, listen, stay in touch with this, because I mean, this is very,
I sure will.
this is very important that you get this nipped in the bud. That's not fair what's taking place, and we'll see if somehow, some way, something can happen to get you back in a position that your mother is not going to give all that money to the Watchtower. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for coming in.
That is correct. Thank you, Rick. And I'm going to tackle this. I'm going to take action and get an attorney and try to make things happen in the future as much as possible. But any ex-witnesses that want to help me out, including you, well, God bless you in every way.
Good. All right. Well, you're on you're on 6 screens of the Watchtower, the program that's really in lifetime helping many people to understand what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, you're on here with us. We really appreciate it. We're going to switch gears here a little bit. We're going to go to, a lot of countries right now, as we were mentioning before Mark came on, but I thought his call was very, very important. But a lot of countries right now are coming against Jehovah's Witnesses. And I think it's a wonderful thing that they want to speak up and talk. They want to let people know what's happening behind the curtains of the Watchtower. We have countries like Sweden, in Norway, in Belgium, in Japan, in the Netherlands, in the United Kingdom, in Canada. We have a lot of countries that are starting to say, hey, listen, something's not right in the Watchtower. And now we have New Zealand. Now, did you hear about this week? My goodness gracious. New Zealand is really in a situation that they, not only Watchtower, many churches, as well as the government, has been really put in a difficult situation. The government has allowed child molestation, child sex abuse, and abuse of all types to take place for years, and the New Zealand government didn't do a thing about it. So they had an inquiry into, what's going on with New Zealand? Why are you turning a deaf ear to what's going on? Why are you not letting people be aware of it? So in the last week, the New Zealand government apologized. They came forward and said there were many people in the New Zealand government that apologized for what took place and how they allowed all of the sexual abuse and physical abuse as well to take place in New Zealand, and nobody said a thing about it. So a lot of government officials have been put on the hook, and they're making an apology to all of the young kids that they hurt. Now, I think that's fantastic. First of all, I'm glad that it's been uncovered, but in the momentum, in the sequence of events that was showing all of the abuse victims of the of those that have been abused in New Zealand, the Watchtower's name came up along with a number of other churches as well. I'm going to see if I can play this for you. Let me just give me a second here, see if I can play this for you. I do have a video here that I think would be good to play. Let's just hold on 1 second. See if we get up to the right studio. We got a lot of things going on here at the 6 screens tonight. So let's put this up right now. This to give you a little idea. The country of New Zealand was covering up a lot of sexual abuse from young children. So let's see if we can't play this right now. I think we can. Let's play it. Stop sharing. Okay. Okay, hold on 1 second. See if we can't get this playing. Okay, let's do it right now. Listen to him. Okay, unmute it.
Covering abuse in state and faith-based institutional care is due out tomorrow afternoon. Kushla Norman joins us live now. Kia ora, Kushla. What else did the ruling say?
Simon, well, the Jehovah Witnesses, they have ongoing legal action to try and get excluded from the inquiry. Now, that decision, that still sits with the Supreme Court and is yet to be decided. But in the meantime, the religious group has sought to get the publication of part of tomorrow's report concerning it suppressed. Now, the Court of Appeal has said no, this cannot happen because of considerable public interest. The court has also said Jehovah's Witnesses, they were too slow with their application. It was only filed last Friday when they knew that this was coming in June and should have filed something earlier. Now, just a few minutes ago, I received a response from the Jehovah's Witnesses. They say that they have serious concerns about the accuracy of tomorrow's report regarding the group, and so it had no other choice but to resort to legal action.
Tēnā koe, Kushla. Thank you.
All right, so that's that. Let's stop that sharing right now. So there you go. So Jehovah's Witnesses right now are in big. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. we're on. But anyways, we got Ivy on with us. Ivy's coming in from Florida. Ivy also is involved in protesting. She's a protester. I met her down in Washington, D.C., so she wanted to come on here tonight and talk with us. Ivy, what do you have to say?
Oh, what I have to say is that this year is going to be amazing, and trying to move the needle with appropriate legislation to help support those of us who are
Can we get you Ivy? Can we get you to speak up a little bit louder? Is that possible?
Oh, sure. How's that? Is that better?
That's better. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
clearer
can. Yeah,
now?
yeah,
Okay,
we can.
great.
Yep.
What I was saying is that it's going to be amazing this year, the protest. As you know, we participated last year and really got to get a feel for just the collective harmony that we all share because of the scars we have been left with by hands of the Watchtower for varying reasons, right? So it was a very healing experience. And so the creator or the founder of the protest, he wanted us to come back this year and do it again. So this year we have planned it for Friday, September the 13th in Washington, D.C., right in front of the White House like last year. The reason why September was chosen is because it is National Suicide Prevention Month. And as we know, shunning has detrimental psychological effects and has caused and led to the loss of many lives as a result of being shunned. So we wanted to align some of the actual issues that we are facing in this group of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses to be able to say, hey, world, we're not so different from everybody else. We're over here getting abused, and we need everyone else to know about it. So the simple concept of human rights is not something that we were educated with, right? The political scene is something that most of us are naive to as well if we were active in, the congregation. So there's so many moving parts, and we want to make sure that we try to get this as right as possible each time, because we may only have one opportunity to really grab the attention of the world, right? This is considered the United States.
Okay, so let's
just
we're going to slow down a little bit. So let's just go back. There's going to be a protest. There's going to be a protest on September 13th in Washington, D.C. And what I'll ask you the questions and you just simply answer them. What will we be protesting?
We'll be protesting shunning and how it should not be made mandatory because it is a violation of the First Amendment right, freedom of religion.
I want you to come up a little louder. I want you to get a little closer to the phone so we can hear better, Ivy. Yeah.
Yes, I said we will be protesting shunning because it is a penalty for exercising your right of freedom of religion. So that is a human right that we are is being violated. So that is one of the issues that we will be protesting. Another issue or concern is that of the child sex abuse, the cover-up, and the requiring of mandatory reporting, and also some other type of registration that would keep track of those individuals, because let's face it, they shouldn't be just sitting in the congregation, privileges or not. People should know who's around their children. And last but not least, the thought of what is doing with the dollar. Nonprofit organization doesn't provide resources to the community, but yet receives donations and tax-free dollars. We want the governments to look into exactly how they're spending the money and where it's going, because it's not coming to the community.
Well, the good thing was, Ivy, I do remember going down there October 31st last year. We had like 250, I'm not sure, 252, somewhere around there, people that showed up. Are you expecting a big crowd this year?
Yes, it would be a beautiful thing if we could double that number this year. We have people come down from Canada. We have people from Washington State, Colorado, Georgia, Florida, of course, the DMV area. We even have people from across the pond. So that was nice. They used it as a holiday. So it would be beautiful for us to stand there unitedly in front of that White House and get these points across with at least 500 people. So we're pushing, the numbers to advertise and get the word out. So thank you so much for sharing this update on your channel.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed you speaking there last October. I mean, you really spoke up against the Watchtower. I mean, against them. You were yelling out to Biden, listen to what we're saying. White House, please listen to what we're saying. The Watchtower should be investigated. I can remember that. You did a great job. So what would you say to people listening into the 6 screens tonight? What would you say? How would you encourage them to come down and be there in Washington? What would you say, Ivy?
I would say that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to save not only your life, but the life of someone that you hold dear, and to be able to try to make amends for the lives that were lost by all of our silence. Our voices were taken, not just vocally, but in our minds, with the concept of, bringing all of our thoughts captive to the Christ. So we've been manipulated and twisted and turned. And so please just come out and support, your own self, your feelings, and your experience. I can't ask anyone enough, whether you're a medical professional, first responder, if you're a relative of someone who is a witness, it doesn't matter. We're all suffering and we're feeling the same feels by being manipulated and just mistreated and thrown aside. So please come. It's a very healing experience. You won't regret it.
Yeah, in fact, you won't regret it. In fact, I tell all the people all the time, they get an adrenaline rush when they stand on the front lines of the Watchtower, when they put their boots on the ground. And that was the case. In fact, that was the biggest protest ever in the history of the ex-witness world, last October 31st. And I was so glad to be there, met so many people, and it's just amazing. And that's what got me thinking. When I saw this, Ivy, we had like 250 plus people there. And when I saw that, I figured, my goodness, what would happen if we ever had a convention for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses? So we do have a convention that's going to take place up here in August of 2025. So looking forward to that, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And we got so many people. We have over 200 people already that want to come to it. But, when I go back and I think about that protest, that got me thinking that, the Jehovah's Witnesses that have left, the ex-witnesses, that have left, they really want to unite. They want to be with people. They want to let people know what's going on behind the Watchtower. And what I found is it's very informative when these protests take place, especially that one down in D.C. They did a great job. They had speakers come up. You were involved, others as well. And people can really see, the world can see how heinous and how evil this organization is. So what would you encourage the people to do? Would you encourage them to come to the protest, listen to the protest? Would you encourage them to make up signs? Well, what signs would you think would be appropriate for this protest, Ivy?
Well, I definitely want to highlight that it is a peaceful protest. Okay, we're coming to present actual facts as they relate to the system that we're living in, meaning a democracy. So we want to make sure that we maintain our composure as much as possible. Right, it's a sensitive time, sensitive topic. There's a lot of pain. But we want to try to maintain our dignity, right? We don't want to be labeled the crazy, emotional, vindictive, quote unquote, apostate, so definitely making sure that we keep that in mind, regardless of what we're doing in relation to the protest. The theme is Shun No More 2024. So that is a hashtag that you can use if you're on social media to show your support. That is what we're going to be talking about in relation to one of the main objectives, right, for the protest is shunning. You can discuss your story with a news journalist, like an outlet. We have access for people to submit their stories to, it's called ProPublica, and they will do a deep dive investigation into the Watchtower. We also would ask you to register on the BeFreeProtest.com site, that you will be in attendance, that you will come. There's a series of questions in there that you can submit as to whether or not you want to volunteer, or which state you're coming from, or travel accommodations and things like that. So please register online, because that'll also help us to continue to monitor the number of people that we're going to have coming. Because again, it's peaceful, and we want to make sure we have the security and things like that. So definitely advertise, talk about it, and share. The founder, she can't use enough support right now to get the word out. So by sharing this information, sharing the hashtag, there's going to be a flyer and some letter templates coming around for people to copy and paste, because we're going to do like a letter campaign to a few national news outlets. So there's so many ways people are going to be able to support, regardless of their situation. And so as you deliver more updates and we provide more information for people, we just ask that everyone just do what they can. We appreciate all of it, right? All we can give is our best anyway.
Well, there you go, Ivy. Fantastic. I mean, we've got a lot of people chime in already. So what I got the websites up there. The websites are up there. If you're listening into YouTube and Facebook, those are the websites. Check them out. That's what the whole discussion is going to be about. We have a lot of problems going on right now in the Watchtower, a lot of suicides. My goodness, maybe you folks have friends that have committed suicide. By all means, you want to be with us in September. So, Ivy, what are you projecting? You think we can get a couple of hundred people? What do you think?
I think we can. I think that now is the time. It's an election year as well. That same week is 9/11. Then you have the presidential debate, scheduled for 9/10. There's just so much momentum there. There's going to be a lot of activity around the White House. So we have a chance to be seen. So I think that people know that, and they're going to be excited, and they're going to show up. I believe that.
Well, excellent. I think so too. I mean, I'm looking forward to going down myself. I'd love to be down there. I love to protest. When you protest, and I know, Ivy, how did you feel? Let us know how you felt. I remember seeing you there. You were very vocal. You did a fantastic job explaining how Biden should be listening in to what's going on behind the curtains. Let us know how you felt at that protest back in October 31st.
I did have some nerves because not being a part of the congregation, it has cost me a great deal. I always say to people, it's like, no one does this because they have nothing else better to do. This is a very painful, thankless job that, I'm doing here. But, after being silenced for so long, I just felt compelled to just speak out. And that was a part of my healing process. It actually was a recommendation by my therapist that I had been seeing for probably 5-6 years now. So doing that really helped me to be able to share my story. It helped me to de-villainize myself, right? Because I was carrying around that thought still, like I'm a bad person, So it really helped me personally with that. And then, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I actually was doing something that I wanted to do, because before I became a Jehovah's Witness, I always was consider myself an activist, especially when I started to learn about the history of, just the country and things like that. But it felt good, because a lot of time was lost, Rick, 20 years of my life, and I want to say it was lost. It just was spent in a way other than I would have liked it to have been spent. But I learned a lot of lessons, and I still get to live out my dreams now, such as being an activist. So it was very, very confirming, or should I say reaffirming as well, for me. So we are looking for speakers too this year. So we'll have some email addresses for volunteers who can submit their outlines or poems or songs. We want it to be really diverse and creative with the expressions. We want to just speak to all the languages of the people, right? And you don't need to speak English either. So that will be a beautiful thing as well. We just want to reach the hearts of everyone. So hopefully, if you show up or participate, you can get these good feels too,
Well, let me ask you, Ivy, how did you feel? Did you feel an adrenaline rush? Did you really feel good? Let's. You did a great job. You really, really did a great job speaking out against the Watchtower. Did you feel good afterwards? How'd you feel?
I did feel good. Honestly, it was almost as I remember getting started with the speech, and then I remember finishing the speech. the segment in between is kind of like a blur. Maybe because I was a little bit like, I just was in shock and I couldn't believe it was happening. But once time caught up, so to speak, I felt really, really good because I know what I'm talking about, right? So it was that confirmation that I'm not crazy. Because I don't know if anyone else, when you first leave, the first 5-6 years, the battles going back and forth, it's intense. And so that moment, yes, Rick, it made me feel good because it also helps to silence that as well.
Well, excellent, Ivy. Now we have people writing in on YouTube here. So, who is the founder? Some people want to know who is the founder of this movement, this protest.
Yes, the founder is a beautiful person that goes by the name of Be Free.
Now, Be Free will not let people know who she is. Is that correct?
I don't think Be Free, and I know this is maybe controversial, but I'm not going to say he or she. I'm not going to do the pronouns, but no, for respect, right? We should all respect each other's boundaries. That's one thing that we didn't get taught in the Watchtower is boundaries, and not to push our thinking and feelings on other people. So, out of respect for all the hard work that she's doing or he's doing, right? Them being known is not important. It's not, so it takes courage to do anything, and courage doesn't always have to have a face.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on and being with us, Ivy. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to going down there myself. All goes well, I'll be there. I'll be there with my wife, Susan, and hopefully we can make a difference in exposing the Watchtower and letting people know the problems with suicide in the Watchtower. Thank you very much for coming on with us, Ivy.
Thank you for having me.
All righty. So, anyways, that's Ivy. If you can, well, before you leave, Ivy, maybe we have some questions for you. Go ahead, Fran. Go ahead.
Hi, Rick. Hi, Ivy. I don't know if you remember Joe and I. We were there, and I just want to go along with what Ivy said. The support was amazing. We got to meet ones like Wally and Justin. Brandy was there. She is Stephen Lett's niece. Justin, did I say? Will Chandler. Randy and his family from Oklahoma. There were a lot of people there. It was such a community. We've been to meetups, but this was like a large meetup. We got to meet people that we have spoken with only on the phone or texted. So it was very, very, very encouraging. And I truly appreciated Ivy's speech. She really felt it. It was, you could tell her heart was in it. And a lot of the speakers, and Joe and I were able to speak a little bit. And you, Rick, you were speaking. We encourage anyone that can come down or up wherever direction you're coming from. There were folks from Germany. We met people from the UK. So I think this year it's going to be even bigger and better.
Well, thank you for saying that, Fran. Yeah. Go ahead, Ivy. I'm sorry. Go ahead and say hello, Fran.
Oh, no, yes. Hello, Fran. I do remember you. I can't wait to see you again.
Same here. Same here. And we're going to have more people. We've been encouraging ones that we know. It's such a building of people that we know, of contacts, and the community. The XJW community is really growing, and we're not strangers. And see, this isolation that Watchtower put us through is the poison, but the community of XJW friends is the antidote. And if we felt isolated or lonely when we first left, this is just so reaffirming, reassuring, and we are true friends and true brothers and true sisters and mothers and fathers. So we really appreciate it.
Well, Fran, I mean, that's just wonderful to say that. In fact, it was so great to see you guys down in Washington as well. We are going to be there this September if all goes well. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again. And I think it's amazing. I think it's totally amazing. We had like 250 something people, from what I can remember, that showed up. That was just unbelievable. And maybe we can get 500. If we get 500
Yeah.
people, that would be great.
No, it was, Rick, what was great about it, we got there early, you got there early, and people were setting up, and it was kind of quiet at first, and, people were kind of coming in, but then all of a sudden there was an influx of people. They just came out of the woodwork, and it was just so invigorating and so exciting. It really was, and we could really feel that spirit there. So we're hoping that it will be better this year. If anyone can come, please make the effort to do so.
Thank you, Fran. Thank you for saying that, because it was that way. It really was. We showed up early. I wasn't even sure how many people were going to come on, but boy, we had over 200 people. That was amazing. Well, thank you, Fran. Thank you for coming in here tonight.
You're welcome. And thank Ivy too. We look forward to seeing her again.
Yeah. Well, she's an amazing woman. In fact, she was the one. I mean, I give her the best speech. She did a wonderful job. Ivy, we love you. Keep cranking away at it. We'll be in touch now. Before that happens, maybe we can just get you on again a couple of weeks before that happens. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
All right, Ivy, you get back to doing what you're doing. We thank you for coming on the Six Screens tonight. Keep waving that flag of victory. Why, Ivy, don't you ever give in, up or out, okay?
All right, I got you. I got you covered. Front
Okay.
to the otherwise. All
Good
right?
girl. You're quite the
Good night,
woman.
everyone.
You're quite the woman. Thank you very much. Well, that's Ivy. My goodness, that protest coming up in Washington. Try to make it. All right, that's in September 13th. Try to get down there. You guys will feel so good. You go to Disney World, you go to Universal Studios, you travel around the world, you try different things. Try a protest. Try a protest. Do you really want to feel good? Do you really want to just feel like, whoa, I feel great? Do a protest. You'll love it. Okay, so anyways, we've got more programming coming up tonight. We're going to end this program here. We do have Six Screens Sunday tomorrow. Don't miss it. We get into theology. That'll be tomorrow beginning at 1 o'clock. And we have a number of great programs coming on all afternoon long. So if you can do it, check into our YouTube channel, check into Facebook tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I think you'll enjoy the program. Well, thank you for coming into the Six Screens tonight. I really appreciate your presence. Friends, we really do appreciate everything you're doing. And I want to put a shout out to everyone that's doing things on Facebook, YouTube. Keep up the good work. We're all allies. There's no reason to look at this as competition. There's no reason to fight with one another. Everyone exposing the Watchtower, in my book, is a good thing. So keep up the good work. And thank you for listening into the Six Screens tonight. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Stay with us on our YouTube channel, our Facebook channels. We've got Dick and Constance coming up next. Don't miss it. They got a great program. Don't miss it at all. Thank you for being with us tonight. Good night, everyone.